Good morning, lovely ladies. Let's look at week 10. Can you believe it? Week 10 of 15. You're going to be finished before you know it. Continue working on your lit review. Several of you have a great start. A couple of you are almost finished. So just keep plugging away at that, reading and writing and grabbing your resources and making connections to your themes. This week, we need to revisit the conceptual framework, review the 7-minute video explaining the Gardner Webb School of Education conceptual framework. It's on the course overview page. Which readings and evidences have you completed while in the MTLCI program have helped you reach the goals outlined in the conceptual framework? And make sure that you don't just name the resources or the evidences, but make sure you discuss how it's helped you meet the goals in the conceptual framework. This week's readings, we have Teacherpreneurs, Chapter 9, Power of Teacher Leaders, Chapter 12, and your colleagues' TED Ed projects. So this week, we have peer review of TED Ed. Please submit the work you've completed on your TED Ed here. So it doesn't necessarily have to be finished, but whatever you have completed, you're going to submit here in this discussion board. Then you're going to pick 2 of your peers to give honest, specific feedback by completing the TED Ed peer rubric. Respond to the 2 peers you review by uploading your completed peer review rubrics. So you need to do this by Sunday as far as posting your TED Ed. So by Sunday of this week, your TED Ed, what you have completed of it, should be posted. And then by Tuesday of next week, of week 10, you need to have pulled 2 of those TED Eds and given feedback using the TED Ed peer rubric to 2 of your peers, and then upload those rubrics. And that will be in the feed, in the thread. Then you're going to use the feedback that you've been given to revise your TED Ed. And then next week, you will share your revised TED Ed with your peers again. 2 different colleagues will watch it and complete your TED Ed, and then you will complete 2 of your peers' TED Eds. So make sure you know that this will be graded on how you give feedback, this particular discussion board. So the rubric is here that you're looking at, and this is how I will grade it. This is your TED Ed peer review rubric here that you're going to need to copy and do on 2 of your peers. So I will be grading on how your feedback has been given. Notice it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the feedback given. So make sure that you're following that rubric. So that's a big mouthful, but basically by Sunday, have your TED Ed posted. By Tuesday, have the peer review rubric done on 2 other TED Eds and uploaded. And then you'll take that feedback and rework or fix your TED Ed or whatever you need to do to it so that next week 2 of your peers can complete it. Okay, sorry, that was a lot. Discussion board post. What connections can you make from the 2 chapters you read in Teacherpreneurs and Power of Teacher Leaders? And then what takeaways are there for our American schools? So you're going to be comparing the 2 chapters that you read. Make sure that you reference your graduate teacher standards. And then what are the takeaways for our schools in America? What can we learn from this? What can we take away? What can we make better in our American schools? Then you're going to review the advocacy and teacher leader resources again, as well as your colleagues' post identifying new resources in week 7. Find one resource that you had not thoroughly explored before and explore it now. Explain how you can use the resource to improve either your advocacy or teacher leadership goals. So you guys in week 7, look through that list and you picked a resource that you wanted to use. So you're just going to go back and look in week 7, look at the resources that were talked about, choose one that you didn't choose, and explain how you could use that as advocacy or leadership goals. And then you're going to submit your last 4 required sources. So I know it seems like kind of a busy week, but all of these assignments won't take you that long to complete. They are all very important, so I do want to make sure I didn't exempt anything this week, because we always need to keep this conceptual framework in the front of our minds. We definitely need to be doing some peer review of TED Eds for each other, for ourselves and each other, to make sure that we're pushing each other along to get those completed. It's important that you can make connections between the readings that we're doing and the standards. And so many of you have such great comments on how you're going to take what you've read or take what you've done and how you're going to use it in your classroom, or how you're going to use it in a leadership position. So I love the way that you're reflecting on that, and that you're actually taking that information in and processing it. So that's important that we do that. And advocacy, this is what this semester, one of the things this semester is all about. So it's important that we keep that in the forefront of our brains as well, and find all of the resources that will be good for us to use. We're all going to advocate in different ways. We're all comfortable doing things in different ways. There's no one right or wrong way to advocate, as long as we advocate. So it's good to have some of those resources in your back pocket that you can just pull from. And of course, you should have all of your resources by now for your lit review. At this point in week 10, you should pretty much have your research done. Now it's a matter of putting that all together in a way that makes sense. And I've given this comment to several of you. When I was writing my dissertation, I went ahead and got my paper ready, did all of my headings, all of my main headings. And then as I read and added themes, I just stuck that in where it fit and started putting quotes and information. And then once I knew I had the basics, then I went back and started making connections and really writing around the references, making sure all of my themes flowed together and one led into the other, and made my writing a paper be a paper instead of just a list of resources. And that was very helpful to me, because sometimes we think we have to start at the beginning and write all the way through. And a lot of times that's not what it is. When you're researching, it's finding all the information and making those connections and then doing your writing. So if you're struggling, hopefully that's helpful. If you need any help or have questions, please let me know. I appreciate all that you're doing. I appreciate the communication that you've given me so far, and I look forward to this week's post. And before you know it, it's going to be Thanksgiving, and then the semester's going to be over. So thank you. Have a great week. It's kind of a rainy day here. I'm at home today because they are putting polyurethane on our gym floor, and I just cannot stand that smell. So I'm working from home today, which is nice in a way because I just can sit around in my t-shirt and shorts, but I'm really missing my people at school. So really makes me hurt for you guys that have to stay at home and work from home or work completely virtually. It's just the human interaction is just so nice, and I do miss that. So prayers for you all. Just keep plugging away. You're doing a great job. I'm proud of you. And I will look forward to seeing your work, and I'll see you ladies next week. Have a great one.